All right, in activity 134, fundamentals of dimensioning, you've gone through the dimensioning cards for the game. You've learned about how to dimension. You've gone through the flow chart. So now what we're going to do is create multi-view drawings in Fusion and then add dimensions onto it to create properly dimensioned multi-view CAD drawings of various models. So the first one we're going to do is of drawing 2 on the dimensioning worksheet, which you've done previously. So we're going to go into your IED team, create a new folder for activity 124. Open up that folder, and now we're going to start designing. So what we have to do first is go over here to our drawing 2. This is the shape that we're going to be drawing. So first, what's going to be the best thing to start with is creating the overall shape. So we have 3 by 3. So go back to Fusion, create a sketch. We'll do this on the front view. 2-point rectangle, you could do the center if you would prefer. And 3 by 3, so this is going to be a square shape. Now going back, so we have the overall size. Now what we're going to have to do is create a sketch on the front view here as well as here to then create the indentations going in to these, the rectangle that the square, I should say, that we've created. So it's the first one, we have to go all the way to the end. So we have 1 plus 1, so 2 inches by 1 plus 1, which is 2 inches. Then the other one, we have the hole here basically, so it goes all the way through, is 1 inch by 1 inch. So we have the 1 inch here and the 1 inch here. So going back, first we're going to finish the sketch. I did forget to look at the depth. So here shows the depth. So we have 3/4 plus 3/4, which you could just type in that full dimension as 1.5, or you can just do 3/4 plus 3/4 into Fusion. So I'll show you how to do it the mathematical way. So when you go to type in the distance here, you would just do 3.25 plus 3.25, and then that gives you the dimension. And if you go to click on inspect and you click on it here, it'll tell you it's 1.5. So you can type that number in, or like I said, showed before, you can do the mathematical dimension. So now we're going to create a sketch on the front of the square that we've created, our rectangular prism, if you want to call it that. Do not click on the actual planes here. We want to do the front of the shape. So now we gotta do the 2-point rectangle starting from that top right corner. So that first one we said was 2 by 2. Then we're going to add another rectangle, and this one was 1 by 1. So you can kind of already see it starting to form, but we're going to do an extrusion now. So you can either click on the icon here or click E on your keyboard. So the first one goes all the way through, so you can either pull the arrow back, or if you want to just type in 1.5, you can just drag it back. You can type in a really large number, whatever you'd like to do. Just make sure it is a cut, which could either be done by typing in negative or dragging the arrow back. I'm going to click OK. Now, notice how the other portion of the sketch goes away. So we do have to make that visible. So sketch 1 was the original. Sketch 2 is what has that second shape there. So we do need that to be visible in order to do the second extrusion. So now going back to the file, the L shape here, which is this gap, goes in 3/4 of an inch. So we need to have this go in half of our full depth here. So going back, extrusion, or you can click E on your keyboard. You only want to select this L shape, so this should be the only part that turns light gray. You don't want to click on anything else because we're not extruding any other part but this. And again, we want it to be a cut, so you can do that by dragging this in, changing this to a cut, and then typing in the dimension, so -3 1/4. Or again, you can drag it in and just type in 0.75. Click OK. If we go back to our drawing here, this looks exactly like our drawing here. We can hide the sketch now. Save this as drawing 2. And now we have to create a multi-view drawing of this on Fusion, which we could just refer to the file that we already have, but to get practice of adding in the templates and putting in the dimensions, all that stuff. So it should have the template selected for you already, but if not, just go to template, click browse, and then select the Project Lead the Way drawing template. Click OK. Now we're going to place the view, the base view here, which will be your front view. If you want to see what it looks like out on 1:1 scale, it is pretty large, so we are going to keep it at a half scale. So I'm going to place the front view here. You can change the style, so this is just visible edges, this is visible and hidden. This is just having it shaded, and this is shaded with hidden edges. We're going to model the visible and hidden edges, which is similar to what the one on the file that we referenced has as well. So now we're going to go to projected view. Click on your base view, which is your front in this case. We're going to drag up for the top view, side for the side view, and diagonal for the isometric view. When you're done, click on the check mark, and everything is now there. In the isometric, we're going to hide the visible. So if you double click on the isometric, we just want to do visible edges. We don't want to see all the hidden edges. And then hit close, and we're all good. All of the dimensions are in inches, so I'm going to add that in right now. So having a text box here, all dimensions in inches. Hit close. Just so that if anyone reads the document, they'll be able to determine that all of the dimensions are in inches. So referring back to the document, notice how there's no top view. I'm going to walk you through doing these dimensions first before removing that one so you can see why it ends up being deleted. So let's just do the overall heights first. So we have dimension up here. You can also, if you see the D that's in parentheses, you can, again, type D on your keyboard. So we have 3 here and then 3 here. The way they have it on that file is doing it from here to here and dragging it out that way. For this 3, and then same thing for the top. I'm just going to place it down here so it's a little more spread out. The next dimension included was, if we come back, we have the dimension here as well as for the opening here of the square. So we have this 1 from here to here is 1, and you do want them to match up. So if it's not, we'll do that after, but just place the dimension for now. This one, and then from here to here. And we have this part is done. So now we come over here. The only thing we need to add is the dimension here and the dimension here. So all of these dimensions, so I'm going to drag this up so it lines up with that one. For here, I'm going to bring the 1 inside. Same thing for this one, bring the 1 inside and line it up. So it looks like a chain dimension. And again, if you'd like, you could bring the 3 over to this side, but then you have these lines crossing here, and we really don't want that. So that's why I'm going to leave it over here. And same thing with this 3. You could drag this up without it interfering with any other dimensions. It's just, it shows it going through, but you can also drag these so that they come up here and then drag this up that way. But see how it then creates a little bit of a diagonal. So we're just going to leave it down on the bottom here, and just keep it out of the way. Now we need to, it helps if you have small dimensions like this, just to zoom in, and then you can move them. So I'm just going to drag this up so that I can move this on the inside. And then bring this back down. And same thing with this one. I'm going to drag it inside. But notice how now the arrows are causing a bit of a problem. So I'm going to drag this one outside here. And I'm going to drag this one outside here. Just so that it shows these are both 3/4 of an inch, which is 0.75. And we have the dimensions here. Everything is on both of these views. So we have the overall height, the overall width. We have the heights here. We have the widths here of this L shape, that gap that we've created. And same thing here. We have the indentation of this L, which is this portion here. And then we have the 0.75 to represent that this here is also 0.75. So we do not need anything else on this view since it's already on both of these. So if you click and hold, you can highlight this and then hit delete on your keyboard to remove that from the sketch. And that's where you can then place your text to say that all dimensions are in inches. And then we just have to add the title. So if you double click in here, you can type in the activity name. So this would be activity 1.2.4, drawing 2, finish properties, because everything else is already done for you. Why did that not come up? Interesting. Okay. Loading. There we go. So now we have everything's filled in. It does cover the title a little bit, but that's fine. So we're going to save this. This would be drawing 2 drawing. Make sure it is in 1, 2, 4. So we do want to move this out of here. Must have created it in 1, 2, 3 by accident. So always check what folder you are putting everything in. So I'm going to hit save here. So we want this in 1, 2, 4. Close out of that. Now, since it looks like I made this, no, drawing 2 is in 1, 2, 4. Also has it in 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's the drawing. Okay, so I'll show you how you can move a file since this is already saved. So in 1, 2, 3, just click, right click or control click. You're going to go to move. I want it in 1, 2, 4. Move, takes it out of 1, 2, 3. And it's now in 1, 2, 4. So now we're going to create the drawing of drawing 3 that's on that file. So if we come back to here, oops, we're going to come down to drawing 3, which we have here. I'm going to make this a little bit larger because this one's a little more complicated so that we can see everything. Which if we come over here, we've now done these portions. And now we're creating a 3D model of the object represented by drawing 3 on the dimensioning worksheet. So I'm going to go back to Fusion. I'm going to create my sketch. I'm going to do this on the front view. So now going back to that file here, the overall dimensions are, if we want to do the width by the height, since I did my front view, it would be 3.5 because this dimension here is also the width of your front. And then my height is 3. So it's 3.5 by 3. So I'm going to do a 2-point rectangle. So this was 3 and the width was 3.5, which you can either do 3 space 1/2 or you can just do 3.5. Either one is correct. So now I'm going to finish the sketch because now we have to extrude. I don't know why that's getting in the way there. So going back here, so now we have the depth, because your top view shows the depth, which is this area here, is 2.5. So coming back, I'm going to extrude. There we go. By 2.5. So now we have our square. And this is going to be similar to drawing 2 in the sense that we have to create things to remove. So we're doing subtractive modeling for both of them. We could do additive for this one. It just is a little easier to do the subtractive because it has kind of like a stair looking aspect. So first thing is we're going to be creating these on the top view, and we're going to extrude them into, or down I should say, to the base of the drawing. So we need a rectangle here, as well as a circle. So we'll start with the large rectangle. So we have, we don't have the full width of this one, so we have to do the small one, which is 2 plus 1/2. So we have 2.5 plus, or not plus, but the depth of that would be 2. And then for the smaller one, it's 1.5 by 2. So coming back here, we're going to be creating a sketch on the top. I'm going to bring this over here to center it a bit. So for the 2-point rectangles, they're coming from that top corner. If you would like to double check, or it might be the bottom corner. I am going to double check. So it is the bottom corner. So always good to have these drawings so that you can double check. So we're creating from the bottom corner going up. So again, it's 2 plus 1/2, so 2.5 by 2, and 2 by 1.5. So starting from that bottom corner, the height was 2, and this was 2.5. And now we need another rectangle from that same corner. The height was 1.5 and the width was 2. And then we have the circle, which for now we're just going to add here, and it was a diameter of 1, which you could pull till you get 1 or just type in 1. And then we have that here. So I didn't look at that or mention that prior, but now we'll add the dimensions first of the circle. So from the center to that right edge is 1, and then from the center to the bottom edge is 3/4. So sketch dimension, you can click here or hit D on your keyboard. So from center to bottom is 3/4 or 0.75, and from here to the edge was 1, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, okay. So let's fix these here. Don't know why they're so stacked. Remember your fundamentals of dimensioning. You want to have your smallest inside, and then it gets larger as you move further out. So notice how the circle went from being a light blue to now it's black, meaning it is fully dimensioned. We're also going to bring this out. We're just going to place it here for right now. So now that we have all of the shapes, we can hit Finish Sketch and begin pulling through. So if we come and look, the circle, it has the hidden lines going all the way to the bottom. So we know the circle is going all the way from here straight through. So I'm just going to do that portion first. So we have our extrusion for the circle. I find it easiest just to pull it through to cut. So if we look from the top, we can see straight through. Okay. Now, again, notice same with drawing 2. All of these extra dimensions are gone, or sketches are gone. So we just have to remake sketch 2 visible. And coming back to drawing 3. So we have these dimensions here. So the front view now is where we need to look to see the depth for these. So the smaller square goes down, let's see, this is a total of 3, and it comes down 1 and 1.5. So in order to add up to 3, this is only 2.5, so this means this is a 1/2 inch and 1, so it goes down 1.5. And that would mean that the top one only goes down 1/2. So let's extrude just this portion. We don't want to do both. So this is going down 1.5. Notice how it always goes up. So we want to make this a cut. So you can either just put in negative, or you can select cut, or you can pull it down, one of the two. Okay, so we know that goes down 1.5. We have to do one more extrusion for just this L shape here. And this is going down -0.5. Click OK. Have sketch 2 be no longer visible. We have our object here, which looks just like the finished product we have here. So now we have to go and create this multi-view drawing. It's nice that you do have it there for you to reference. So this is drawing 3. This time making sure it is in 1, 2, 4. So I'm going to hit save, go to design, drawing, from design, project lead the way template, click OK. We have our template. We're going to place the front view. I'm going to put it here. Everything else is good. If we do anything bigger than a 1/2 scale, it's definitely going to be way too large. So notice how it already puts in, because we said for hidden dimensions to be there, it already puts in the hidden lines for the cylinder that cuts in. So we'll go to our projected view, go for the top, the side, and the isometric. Click our check mark. I don't want all the hidden lines here, so this is just going to be a visible edge. But we do want the hidden lines on both of these views. So now if we come back here, we notice that this one doesn't have a side view because all of the dimensions can be on the front and the top. So I'm just going to delete that one right away since we don't need it, and we've already explained in drawing 2 why that occurs. So notice how these drawings here are missing some of the things that the drawing has here, such as this center mark and this center line. So we're going to add those in first. So center line, you just click on the 2 lines you want it to be in between. And then we need a center mark for the circle. So you just click on the circle and it adds in that center mark. So now we can start adding in some dimensions. So we have our circle. You want to make sure this isn't going to cross over anywhere. So I'm going to place it up here. That way it stays out of the way of the other dimensions we're going to add. So from this edge to this edge, we have the 3.5, which I'm going to pull down a little further since we're adding other dimensions. We have the 2 here. We have the 1/2 here, so this would need to be smaller, but we'll fix that later. We need the center to the bottom is 3/4. We also need the center to this edge, which is 1. So again, dragging all these out later. What other ones do we have on the top? So we need the small square, the large square, or rectangles, I should say, and then that overall height. So we have here to here, 2.5. We need here to here for that smaller one, or middle one, I guess. And then this one here, so that's all of those portions. We can then come down here and do our overall height of 3. We have from here to here is 1/2, or 1 I should say, and then here to here is 1.5. You can double check. So the 3 I can bring over to this side. I might actually bring that over. We have all of these other dimensions in, which is everything we need in order to be fully constrained. So I'm going to hit escape on my keyboard. I'm going to delete this one. I'll add it on this side just so we can see everything over here. And if you notice, even though these are 2 separate sizes, they are still stacked on top of each other. Same thing with these 2 here. They're 2 different sizes, but they're in the same line as each other. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to bring, adding dimensions. I'm going to bring this one on the inside and line it up with the, there we go, 1.5, which is a little bit off. So I'm going to zoom in so I can see better. All right, so that doesn't want to line up. So let's try lining up the 1. All right, if you can't ever get anything exactly lined up, it's not the end of the world. But I'm going to come up top here because we do need to move some things around because they're getting in the way here. So 0.75, I'm just going to bring here so that we can see. The rest of these are good, and then the 0.5, I'm just going to bring up a little bit so it's not in way of the 2. And the 2, I'm just going to bring down a little bit so there's a little more room. And then we have our drawing here. We need to add in that everything's in inches since we don't type it out there. So we have our little text box that says all dimensions are in inches. We need to double click in our area here. Saying this is drawing 3. Now we have that placed. Everything else again should stay the same since it auto-fills for you. We need to save this, drawing 3 drawing, activity 1, 2, 4, and save.